Well, hello and welcome again for another live interview where I'm delighted to be joined by Jan Cavill, who is a writer, blogger, and author of a forthcoming book called Scale for Success, which comes out on Bloomsbury Books on the 4th of February, I believe. How are you doing, Jan?
I'm doing fine, and you're absolutely right about 4th of February. Thank you very much indeed, Paul, and thank you for inviting me on. It's great to be here.
No, you're welcome. And well, actually, you offered to come on, which was
Oh,
great.
true. Sorry. Yes, I've forgotten all our conversations.
No, but that is great because I was looking for interviewees, sorry, for my YouTube channel. And when you said, "Look, I've got this new book coming out," it was perfect because I'm really a lot of people will know me for kind of startup, like Newcastle Startup Week and very early stage business owners, which is a big focus for what I do. But I was saying before the interview started, as time's gone on, I've personally become more and more interested in the survive and thrive and the scale up process. And in my own business, how do I take it to the next level as well?
Yeah.
So, absolutely perfect person to be interviewing for the YouTube channel. So, thank you very much for doing that. So, just wanted to tell us a little bit more about the book. Like, what is it and what's in it?
What's in it? What is it? What's in it? It is a guide for people, I mean, loosely, who are planning to scale businesses from 1 to 10 million. Which is not to say that it's not highly readable before then, because a lot of what is said in the business is how important the pre-planning actually is. Because one of the most common mistakes, and one I've made, is that you grow and grow and grow, and you think this is great, making lots of sales or whatever, and your business is growing, but you don't really have a serious plan about how you're going to scale. And that next step up, it takes you into a completely different type of business. So if you think about it, all through from 500 to 1500, 500, 5,000. I'm getting completely lost in my figures. Wonderful start to a Monday morning. From a moment you start, you're 500,000 got there now, to 1 million, and upwards. The actual planning is just crucial. So it's worth a read. If you're just thinking about scaling as well as if you're involved in doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the format of the book is so you interview, is it 18 entrepreneurs?
I interviewed 30, believe it or not. What I wanted to do, I mean, I thought long and hard about it, and I thought, I don't think I've got enough expertise to do the sort of book I want to do, to do the sort of book that I wish I'd had when I was trying to scale a business. And so I thought, well, it's an ask the experts job. And what I've tried to do is talk to somebody to get their input on each area of scaling. We were chatting earlier and saying, there's so much to think about. There's for strategy, there's for marketing, there's for sales, there's for people. So I wanted to get people who specialized in that one particular area, and that particular area had been very pivotal in their own careers. So they were really able to share their particular wisdom in that area. So I was so damn lucky in that I have talked to, as I say, this group of 30 entrepreneurs, a lot of them from the UK, but not all. Some are from Australia, some are from the US. And they are, they're just so astounding, such knowledge and such experience. They've gone through this, they know the struggles, and they've been wonderful. They talked about them so honestly. And you heard such great stories and such great experiences, and people who've gone from a garage to I mean, I'm thinking of one company in particular, to a 318 million pound float in the last month.
Wow.
And you think, from a garage, it's astounding what can be done.
Well, there's, I mean, on your website, so it's jancavill.co.uk. Encourage people to and read all about the book and also your background and the list of of business leaders that you've interviewed is pretty outstanding. There's definitely some familiar names on there that I know, including Stephen Kelly, who's now the chair of Tech Nation.
That's right. What a lovely man. Yeah.
So I used to work for Sage,
Did you?
inbound marketing and social media specialist
Right.
when Stephen was there. So he
Yeah.
was, and what an amazing guy he is.
Isn't he just?
Very
Yeah.
great.
I was so thrilled to get to talk to him. Well, well, I mean, obviously his knowledge is colossal, but and everything else. But he was so down to earth and nice, and had all the time in the world, it seemed, to talk and share his knowledge, and he's in fact done for me, or talked me through the chapter on strategy. Because I wanted somebody very key to chat on that one, and I thought, who better, because he's done it. I mean, he's taken two companies to the Fortune 500 level, So I'm not sure. I think he's the only person to have done two. So yeah, I mean, that's a pretty serious person to have shared their knowledge, for starters, and a huge honor again.
Yeah, and he's done it at the highest level. I mean, there is no bigger software company, technology company in the UK than Sage to operate at that level. But also, he was he the CTO or at the government for a little while?
He was, yeah. I think he held two posts. He was COO, I think, and he might have been CTO as well. But yeah, that's right. And of course, he's worked with startups in Silicon Valley, and with some of the great mentors. He talks about Mark Benioff of Salesforce mentoring him, and a couple of others. And he says he stepped on the shoulders of giants. He's a fair old giant himself. It's pretty special. But he didn't talk in the terms of, oh, you're only a small business, and this is, it was full of really practical information for businesses of this size, which is just fantastic from somebody of that sort of level of knowledge.
Yeah, amazing. So I noticed on your website there's a line: starting a business is the easy bit, but surviving and then growing is the hard bit.
There is, yeah. I mean, I really believe that. I mean, I'm not saying starting a business is easy. Of course, it's not. There's lots of pitfalls, but if you get it off the ground at all, and it starts to sort of flow, you do have this vague feeling that I've got this, which is great, and nothing wrong with that. But you are almost setting yourself up for a fall if you think it's just going to be more of the same, because it isn't, and that's a big message that I wanted to get out there. It's very, very different running a bigger business to starting up.
Yeah, no, I definitely. Well, I said before the interview, I spent a long time working for local enterprise agencies and youth enterprise schemes, and working with corporates, kind of giving help and advice to people to start and grow their own business. And I know that when you haven't started a business, like maybe there be people watching this who are maybe in a job at the minute, or they're just in the very early stages of starting out, or it's just an idea at the moment. The thought of starting a business can seem like such a huge step to take. But actually, I definitely found, I do agree with you definitely that once it's not actually that difficult to start a business, but keeping going is difficult. Like surviving and thriving is difficult. And then if you do decide that you want to scale up, you want to go, that's another level. You have to really level up in your mindset. Not just your resources, but your way of thinking is totally different as well.
You're so right. I mean, it's what I do. Again, I didn't realize, but then I openly admit in the book that as I say, I've made most of the mistakes that are open to you. But I didn't realize how important it is to actually self-develop and get the right mentors and support teams around you. And that just makes all the difference in the world. And I'm not talking about contacts, because all the networking bit is useful but it's much more useful in certain businesses. I'm talking about people who will actually, who've been there in your sector, and done it, and understand what you're going through, which is the sort of voices I wanted in the book, very much.
Yeah. No, definitely, you touched on it a bit there about the mentoring side of things. So, how important do you think that is to have?
I think it's pretty huge, but I mean, I think you have to be really careful about, you know, the sort of mentors you choose. And, you know, again, in the book, there's a lady who talks about that, and she's actually been subject to awards in the States, various, and she's called Dame Shelley Hunt, but she's the most amazing lady. I mean, she was, you know, and you think you can't do a startup. I mean, she was born and they lived literally under a house in an open concrete area. And she talks about her first entrepreneurial experiences being her mum needing somewhere to bath her and getting a bag of concrete and learning how to mix it and making a small tub to bath her as a child.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And, you know, that was in Boston, and the Boston winters are freezing, and that's where they lived. And she has built up to you know, she mentors, I mean, she's been, you know, got various awards from various presidents in the White House. You know, it's crazy stuff, you know. You know, again, and she talks about mentors and the difference it's made to her. And she was mentored very young by chance. You know, it clearly had an enormous effect on her because the right mentors help you develop. And that's where, you know, as I say, it's so crucial to do. If you stay the same, you're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, well, I definitely think it's kind of like leveling up in your mindset. That's kind of the process I've probably been through in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Deliberately surrounding myself with people who are further on than me, because like a lot of the work that I do, I'm often seen as kind of the expert, or I'm helping other people or giving advice, which is I love doing, and you know, but then who's helping me? You know, I need people around me that are going to help me raise the bar and push me on and think bigger. So being surrounded by people who have been there and done that and operated at a higher level, just to kind of keep me on the right track and reassure me that I'm doing the right things, and yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, family and friends are great, you know, and obviously really necessary, and you spend your downtime with them and everything else. But, you know, they don't necessarily really fully understand, you know, no disrespect, what's going on in your business every day. You know, they might not understand your sector, or, you know, again, somebody says in the book, again, it might be the same lady, but, you know, if you're, for example, a single mom like I was, you know, you're surrounding the people who surround you tend to be other single moms, you know. You know, if you're forging ahead with a high growth business, not all of them are going to be able to relate at all, and because it's foreign, people tend to either say yeah, or, you know, well, you can't do it, you know, and it's not the best feedback. You know, you want people who are going to really encourage you and be on your side.
Yeah,
it's quite enough to contend with.
yeah, totally. So the are there any common traits that people seem to have? Would you say, like, some of these business leaders that you've interviewed, certain personality traits or a mindset as well?
I think, you know, I think, yeah, they're all undoubtedly very resilient. Lots of them have had all sorts of difficulties and overcome all sorts of difficulties. It's certainly not education. You know, I was reading something totally not to do with this, but this morning, and it was a figure in an American magazine which said that 80% of the world's billionaires have not got a college degree. You know, and I think that's great. It really lays down what is possible if you put your mind to it. You know, so yeah, I think that determination to do it is something they all had in common, and often from adversity of some sort. You know, I mean, a few of them didn't, but the majority came from backgrounds with something that made them think, "No, stuff this. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it for me." You know, which is great because it means everybody can do it.
Yeah, there's definitely like kind of, as long as I remember, people talk about the whole nature and nurture debate about being an entrepreneur or a business leader. I definitely think you might have you might be born with certain characteristics that might intelligence or kind of just natural ability, but I do think it's like experience and the people that you're surrounded with and the opportunities that you see and how you respond to them. So it is kind of the environment and the people around you. And if you also that self-belief, so if you try something and you succeed in it, you're more likely to think that you could do that again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, would you agree with that?
Totally, Paul. I think you're spot on. It's very easy to get in a negative mindset. If you're prone that way, and you have to line up the wins too. To convince you to go on. And I don't necessarily mean wins in the sense of awards and things, because that can, particularly if you're insecure, that can actually feed into that. You might keep on thinking, I've got to get better. I've got to win more, and then I'll be okay. It's not that sort of thing. It's actually, setting yourself goals and getting there. That makes you believe.
Yeah. Okay. So why did you want to write the book in the first place? What's the background?
I think twofold things. I mean, as you gathered, I did have businesses, and I tried and failed to go the whole way on scaling with mine, my last one. For a variety of reasons, and a lot of things that I didn't get right, some things I did get right, but I fell into business by accident, really. It wasn't even around entrepreneurship when the age and time I grew up, really, very much. And so, and I had a choice in life, and I always wanted to be a writer. So, when I had time, I thought, and I'd been writing for a business magazine as well called Real Business, and contributing to them. And so when I had time, I thought, shall I write a book? And then I thought, I don't know enough to write a book. If we're talking business, which is why eventually I came to the conclusion, no, I don't know enough, but I know people who do. And so I started off with some people I knew, and it grew from there. And it became the most amazing, truly amazing thing I've ever done.
Yeah. A lot of people, well, a couple of things. So you were a writer, or you still are a writer, and I you describe yourself as a writer, a blogger, and an author. So I think there's a key thing there that you haven't just done a book, which is amazing in itself, but you are a writer, and you have got lots of articles and publications under your belt, and you do regularly still do interviews and blogs. You can do that for years.
I do. Yeah. I mean, it's funny, I was saying to you earlier that, of course, the publication of this has been brought forward a bit. And I'd happily thought up till a few weeks ago, but it was ages away. It was April. And I'd think, will I go on with it all afterwards? And I don't have to think about it yet. Now I'm thinking, February is actually not that far away. But because, in fact, Bloomsbury publish in the States and Australia as well. So the publication dates for hardback copies are later because we have to ship them out there, and so I will be tied up with nicely with this for a while longer next year, I don't know what I'd do if I didn't. If this feels ingrained in me now, I just absolutely love doing what I do.
Yeah, well, from what I know about you, what I've read about you as well, you have been doing this for years. You've been interviewing business owners, business leaders, entrepreneurs. You obviously enjoy doing that, enjoy getting that information and articulating their story and sharing it through different mediums. So book is the perfect way to do it in one
Absolutely.
place.
It couldn't be more ideal for me. I love entrepreneurship. It fascinates me, and I love to write. So, I think I've, curled up, died, and gone to heaven, really.
So how did, well, a lot of people want to be a writer, so some people watching this might be like, well, I'd love to be a writer doing publications or for physical publications or online publications. But then to write a book as well, what was the process for doing that? How did that come about?
I had a couple of false attempts, I'll be honest with you, and I wrote one, sort of thinking almost slightly arrogantly, this is no problem, I know what I want, which was a business one. And on sales, to be exact, and whisked it off and sent the first bit. I mean, it was just a very rough copy at the time, and I sent it in to a company that assessed writing, and I got an email back saying, "I think we ought to talk on the phone." And I thought, this is wonderful, and he absolutely had me on toast. I was in floods of tears. uh, but the idea was wrong. It was outdated. I was careless with my writing, and he was absolutely spot on. Of course, it was a really unpleasant, hard crash lesson I had to learn. But I'm very grateful to the guy. So there was that, and then I played around with another idea, but it just wasn't strong enough. You have to have, you have to have the right idea that people want to read. It's like it's still a business at the end of the day. So it's about your customer, and what's going to be useful to them, or what's going to entertain them, or whatever. It comes back to the good old customer principles, and it's very easy to forget that as a writer, I think.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm sure you're delighted with your publisher now. But how did you send it off to lots of different
I
publishers?
didn't. Isn't that disgusting? I've been so lucky. I was just in the right place in the right time with it. It was last Christmas, and I got it started, and I got an idea of where it was going and things, and it just put together a submission because it suddenly began to dawn on me it was getting along a line, and was I actually going to actually do anything with it? Because I knew, we all know publishing is a little bit hard to get a publisher, and I didn't know anything about self-publishing, and I know it's probably quite techy, and I'm bloody useless, and I was thinking, oh, what do I do now? So I thought, well, actually I could do with a change of pace. I'll take a break and I'll do some of these submission things which you have to put together, and over Christmas, and have a think about what I'm going to do with it and whether it's just going to sit in a drawer in the new year. So I did one, and Bloomsbury were always my first choice by a million miles. I don't think there's sort of more of an iconic publisher that's an English publisher in many ways than Bloomsbury, and believe it or not, incredibly, sort of something's meant to be. I sent it off and it bounced. The email bounced back, and I regret to say I'm fairly active on Twitter. So I saw that they were on Twitter, so I sent them a tweet because it was so near Christmas, and I said, your email's down. And one of our business editors came back to me and said, oh, that's really kind of you to let us know, because they didn't know. Send it in to my personal email.
Right.
Which, of course, circumnavigated, I suspect, quite a lot of normal rigmarole and your chances of getting in the junk pile. So I was very, very lucky. I mean, it wasn't all plain sailing after that. I went in and had a meeting, which was amazing. And just to be there was amazing. And being a bookie, I'm easily impressed by Bloomsbury, you understand. But and they asked me to redo various bits of the submission and refine my ideas a bit, but the rest is history. There we are.
Yeah. So amazing. So, and how long was the process from starting the book to?
I guess, I mean, it had breaks, as I say, with the idea, and I was toying whether to how broad a gap of business life I should take it through. Should I go back to startup complete or whatever? And that actually got split with talking to Bloomsbury. They felt it was too big a subject, rather like you're saying that you're covering this week, the sort of total startup and the scale up, they are two very different things. One may lead to the other, but they are still different animals. And so there was a lot of refining went on. But yeah, I guess, I mean, from the idea, not really that long in publishing terms, because I sat down to write it to start it last September. So 14 months.
Wow.
And it'll be out in 18, which is very fast in publishing terms.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's exciting. I
Yeah.
suppose if you think about it, you're going through that scale up phase now as a book author.
I suppose. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it like that. That's brilliant, Paul.
You've come up with the idea. You've developed it. You've written it. You've got the product there. It's ready to go. Now you got a level. Now it's all. Now it's the next. It's hard enough getting published and getting a book out there. But now from now until February and then ongoing evermore, is pushing that book. So,
Absolutely. I mean, Bloomsbury have a publicity department and a sales and marketing department of our own, obviously, but they also have a lot of authors to look after. So,
yeah,
the more I can do to help support it, then the more people, hopefully, I can get this out to. And if one chapter, if somebody's struggling on one particular bit of scaling up, because we've all got, sort of plus points and minus points where we're strong and weak, and even if they pick up one chapter where they've always been struggling and get some gold nuggets from these people, then I will be really happy that, it's just done something to help somebody out there.
yeah. Well, I think my audience for definitely the events, the physical Newcastle Starter Week events, and
Mm,
just personally the stuff that I put out, I think is pre-startup to pre-scale up. That's kind of the audience that
mhm.
I tend to appeal to. So this is perfect for people who are not there yet, but they're thinking about it, or they want to know what it takes.
Yeah,
Because some people will never scale and they never want to scale, and that's fine. But it's good. Like day 4 of our starter week events are the growing and scaling days, and that's a lot of people come to that who are might already be up and running, they might already be successful, but they're a little bit stuck and they don't know
mm,
how to take it to the next level, or they're not there yet, but they want to know what they need to do if
absolutely.
future.
Absolutely, for both, very much so. And it is very easy to get to that level and then get stuck. It's terribly easy. Going back to Stephen Kelly, who you were talking about, he calls that particular stage of scaling the Death Valley for businesses,
Yeah,
because it's so hard and so many don't make it.
yeah,
Which is quite sobering.
uh-huh.
So as I say, I really hope I can provide some help.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm sure you do, but is there some kind of common barriers to scaling that you can think of that seem to come up, or pitfalls to avoid?
I'd say, yeah, I think there are lots. I mean, we talked about mindset, and getting the right support in mentoring. I think is a huge, and being open to personal development. I think team is huge. You have to have the right people, and quite a few people talk about that, including Stephen. Because you may have people around you who you started off with, and they're great, and you're fond of them, and you're loyal to them, and you've been through a lot with them, but they may not want to scale,
Mhm.
or they may not actually be capable of developing to
Yeah.
scale.
Mhm.
Both of those things, and that takes a lot of thought, and it's very difficult. Are you, as you see it, disloyal, and having talked to enough people, everybody goes through this barrier, disloyal to your people who started with you, and bring all sorts of other people in and from the outside, or do you somehow just try and sell your vision sufficiently? It's a hard battle, that one, and I think that's a big one. The people problem.
Mhm.
Um, but on top of that, I mean, obviously, there's nailing the money, which is very, very different depending on what sector you're in, as to what resources you need,
Mhm.
and therefore what route you decide to go. And we look at various routes of that in the book. People, money. There's marketing, of course. I mean, when we start off, we're so happy to sell anything at all that we'll sell. I was going to fall into the dreadful thing of coals to Newcastle, but you know what I
Right.
mean. It's absolutely selling anything. Providing you've got some money coming in.
Yeah.
As you scale, you've got to refine that. You've got to get your offering absolutely spot on and your customer profile really right.
Mhm.
those those are terribly important. I think marketing doesn't really exist too much. You might have somebody doing your social media, but it doesn't terribly come into its own in the early stages. Whereas actually the subtleties of marketing really begin to shine in scale up.
Yeah. Well, you've got to have a good product or service, obviously, because some
Yeah.
product services can never scale.
Also true.
No
Yeah,
matter what you want them to, if you might have everything else, you might have the team, you might have the money, you might have everything else, but if people just don't want your product or service,
absolutely right. Yeah, it all starts with the customer. Yeah.
yeah.
And there's another thing I do sort of tend to mention is that we've become a little bit obsessive about this idea of scaling, and we've all got to have, give birth to next unicorn, and have a huge business. There's nothing wrong with having a small business. A lot of small businesses are a lot more profitable than scaling businesses.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do it, don't do it. It's fine. Small business is beautiful.
No, definitely. And I noticed, I don't know if do you know Tony Robinson? Tony Robinson,
Yeah.
microbiz
Yeah,
champion.
lovely. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's he's a good friend of mine as well. He talks a lot about small is beautiful, and to be self-employed and have a micro business, that is a great thing if you can self-going and you can enjoy what you're doing and create some wealth and maybe some jobs for some other people as well, but provide a good service and don't feel obliged to scale it. It's not right for everyone.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think, and yeah, I think it's a fantastic thing to do, and we want to be nurturing those people and valuing those people more than currently I think we do, who have small businesses that don't necessarily want to scale. And I know Tony's doing an amazing job on what he does to support them, and with the current campaign where a lot of people have missed out on self-employed and all sorts of things. He does amazing work, Tony Robinson. Huge fan.
All year round for years. Yeah, he's just consistently the micro business champion.
Yeah.
So you touched on it a little bit there. So I definitely noticed probably about 5 or 6 years ago there was a shift in that. It's probably after the Scale Up Institute or the Scale Up report was published. A lot of people who were very heavily involved in the startup sort of scene, startup support scene, suddenly start saying, "Oh, startups are taken care of. We don't need to worry about that anymore. It's all about the scale ups, right?"
Yeah.
And what I thought with that is, basically they were kind of chasing the money because they could see that that's where the government was shifting their focus because they were bought into the idea of, well, that's where the jobs are created, that's where the wealth is created. It's good for the economy to have more scale ups, right? But in that, that middle bit was lost because it was like startup, yeah, okay, that's still going to happen. Yeah, people are going to start businesses. So let's all focus our attention on the scale up. But that survive and thrive, that middle bit, what started, there's not really that much support for people once they've started.
No, I have heard that. And I think, I agree with you. I think there are various reasons. I think it's partly chasing the money. I think it's partly, sort of the fashion. I mean, after all, the VC money even is going into startups now, which it never was 10 years ago. So that there is big money around for startups, that immediately scale and miss out that section. And I think that a lot of people find, though, there's an awful lot of businesses, sadly, at the startup stage that aren't thriving and are struggling, and just on energy levels and input levels and time and everything, I think a lot of agencies find it just too much work for too little return. But I agree with you. Unless we nurture people through those phases, they don't get to get bigger, and they don't get to survive, and we need them to do that.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was trying to do. One of the reasons why I created the Startup Week event, the 5-day event, to cover those different phases. But great as it is, amazing events and great feedback and stuff, it's still only 1 week in a year. So I started doing monthly events as well, like 1 day kind of taster sessions. But again, it's a physical event. If people can't get to that, or the time doesn't fit for them, so now I've got an online community, so it's all year round, trying to do that pre-start up to scale up. But there are challenges, like all the time, and people are struggling. Like, even big businesses often only have enough money for a couple of months.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that runway has got so short now because of the pandemic, that everybody's living, they can't see a future. There was an American entrepreneur who specializes in turnarounds who I talked to recently, and he said says to his clients who are that near struggling, he says, just don't look at next year, don't look at 2 months ahead. Well, I suppose next year is 2 months ahead, but don't look a year ahead, don't look 2 months ahead. Literally concentrate on the next week and your priorities, because the situation is so unusual at the moment. You're not the only one at the wall. You've got to survive to get through this, and that's all there is for some businesses, which is tragic. And some good businesses, I mean, I snapped back at somebody on social media, which was extremely naughty of me, but a couple of months ago, and they were saying, oh, well, only the good businesses will survive this. And I went, what about areas like hospitality? You can't say that people weren't good businesses and aren't going to suffer and maybe go under in an area like hospitality through this. That's outrageous. And they did apologise and say they ought to have taken hospitality into account. But, it is tough, and yes, I'm sure there will be some zombie companies who will go, should go, but, it's really hard on businesses right now. And I think what you're doing is phenomenal, just to give them that support. And and I hope more people do it.
Thank you. Well, definitely. I mean, I'm just trying to do what I can in using my networks and platforms to try and open people's eyes and minds to what's possible, and be inspired, and get the support that they need, and letting them know about books like yours as well. I mean, I can't wait to read it, so I'm really looking forward to getting a copy. So can people pre-order it now?
They can. It is available for pre-order through Amazon, nice and simple, or through WH Smith's or any good bookshop or whatever.
Yeah. And is there going to be another book? Have you got another one in you, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's been so fast, and it still feels so unreal. As you say, we just updated the book page on my website with the people in it, and now we've got feedback from lots of nice people who've said awfully nice things about it. And I look at it and I think, that's not me. That can't be me. So I don't know. It's lovely. And like I say, I'm just incredibly lucky to be doing what I do.
Oh yeah, well, it is a dream come true for, I'm sure,
totally.
for you, but a lot of people as well, to have one book out is amazing. So definitely enjoy every minute of it. I think every I'm sure you are, and I can tell you are. But the next few weeks and months are going to be, and next year is going to be incredibly exciting for you.
It is.
And once this book is in people's hands and they start reading it and learning from it, and the positive impact that has on people, I'm sure it will.
Well, I hope so. But if anybody needs help, and particularly if they're struggling, I do get, because I'm very honest about the mistakes I've made in business and the struggles I've had, and as a result, because a lot of people don't talk about that, and as a result, people do contact me from all over the place and say, can you just listen for a bit, or sometimes that's all it needs. And if anybody's really struggling out there, they're very welcome to drop me a line.
Yeah, brilliant. So obviously you've got your website, so it's jancavell.co.uk. Yes, that's right.
It is .co.uk, yes.
Yeah. And then where else can they find you? You're very active on Twitter in particular.
I am on Twitter, and on LinkedIn, and I have a very small page on Facebook, because I have only just put one up because of the book, and same with Instagram. But because Jan Cavell is quite an unusual name, I'm pretty easy to find on. I am just a variety of those. I'm just Jan Cavell on Twitter. I think I'm Jan Cavell Writer on Facebook, but not. I think you'll pretty easily identify me.
Awesome. Okay. Right. Well, thank you again for doing the interview, and congratulations
Paul.
on getting the book published. And like I say, I'm really looking forward to reading a copy and
Thank
adding
you
it
so much.
to my obligatory bookcase behind me.
Thank you. I shall look forward to hearing how you get on with it.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.